The LA Kings get a big win in the race for home ice and have clinched a playoff spot as well. Details on that and more on this edition of Locked On LA Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Kings fans, welcome to Locked On LA Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On LA Kings your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. I'm Eddie Garcia, your host of Locked On LA Kings. I've worked in sports media for the past 30 years. Also co-host of the upcoming Locked On NHL Game Night, premiering this Sunday night, a nightly NHL podcast wrapping up the night in the NHL. I'm also a passionate LA Kings fan for over 30 years. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Well, the LA Kings played game 76 of the NHL season, hosting the Edmonton Oilers in a huge head-to-head matchup in the race for second place in the Pacific Division and home ice advantage in the first round of the playoffs in their likely first-round matchup. It's not set in stone, but it looks like that's the way it's going to happen. Details on all that coming up. But the Kings were coming off found a way to win 4-2 victory over Utah on the road on Thursday. Kings came into this big game with a 43-23-9 record, 28-4-4 at home, 2 points up on Edmonton for sole possession of first place in the Pacific Division, and the Kings had a chance to clinch a playoff spot with a win and a Calgary loss in Vegas Saturday night. Now, checking the Kings lineup, Tanner Jeannot and Alex Turcotte still out due to injury. Still officially listed as day-to-day, but it's now been a week for Alex Turcotte, 7 days. Tanner Jeannot has missed 6 games. I should say not days, games. 7 games for Turcotte, 7 for Jeannot. Still out of the lineup as they have been key contributors on the Kings' fourth line. We did have a lineup change as far as the previous game against Utah, and that would be on defense, but the forward lines would be the same. Andrei Kopitar centering Adrian Kempe and Andrei Kuzmenko, Philip Deneau centering Warren Foegele and Trevor Moore, Quentin Byfield centering Kevin Fiala and Alex Laferriere. Fourth line, Samuel Helenius centering Jeff Malott and Trevor Lewis. Akil Thomas, once again, the healthy scratch as far as the forwards. The defensive pairings would go back to quote-unquote normal. We had Mikey Anderson with Drew Doughty on the top pairing, Vladislav Gavrikov and Jordan Spence back in the lineup after being out for the previous game against Utah for some unknown reason. And the third pairing would be Joel Edmondson and Brandt Clark, Jacob Moverara, who was in the lineup against Utah, back out, and Kyle Burroughs, healthy scratch as well. Darcy Kuemper would be in net, of course, in this one against the Oilers, and David Rittich would be the backup. The big question for me going into this game, of course, always looking for the same thing down the stretch, 2 points, 3 solid periods. Would the Kings step up and take care of business against a very shorthanded Oilers team? They're 2 big stars. They're 2 MVP candidates. Connor McDavid, who's won it in previous years, Leon Draisaitl, who's a candidate for the MVP this year, is leading the league in goal scoring, both out due to injury. Would the Kings take advantage of this huge opportunity against a wounded Edmonton team and take 2 points and send a message? Well, the scoring summary in this one, Kings did start off much better than the previous first period they had in Utah, which was not good. But we would have a scoreless opening period. Kings would go 0 for 1 on the power play. Trevor Moore just missing on a backhander through the crease. Second period, the Kings would score 3 goals. 2 of them would count. Jeff Malott's gorgeous goal taken off the board after an offsides challenge. But the Kings would keep it going and get goals from Kevin Fiala and Andrei Kuzmenko. And the Kings led 2-0 after 2. In the third period, Trevor Lewis ices the game with an empty net goal. And the Kings skate off with a workmanlike 3-0 victory. LA improving to 44, 23-9 on the year, 29-4-4 at home, extending their own franchise record for home wins in a season, 29. The Kings lead over Edmonton for second place in the Pacific and home ice in the first round of the playoffs at 4 points now. And we'll get more into the Pacific Division and the playoff races coming up. As for the game stats in this one, pretty even as far as the stats go, but not even on the scoreboard where it matters most. LA with a 3-0 win. Shots on goal favored the Kings narrowly, 29-27. Power plays, LA 0 for 4. Edmonton was 0 for 1. Obviously, the Oilers' potent power play neutered, if you will, without McDavid and Draisaitl out there. Faceoffs favored the Kings narrowly, 29-27. Hits favored the Kings, 23-17. Block shots favored the Oilers, 12-11. What was not so good for the Kings from a team standpoint in this win? While the Kings' start was much better than the previous game in Utah, of course, it wasn't saying much that it would have to be better. I would say I was a little disappointed that the Kings didn't start better. I wanted to see a hungry, aggressive Kings team right out of the gate. I thought they played hard, but I thought there would be more of a playoff-like feel to this game, and it didn't really feel like that, especially in the first period. It did liven up a bit in the second and the third as the game went on, but I would have liked to have seen a better start for the LA Kings in this one. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't as good as I hoped it would be. Also, in the third period, we talked about the power play opportunities for the Kings. They were up 2-0, and they had two chances in the third period on the power play to put the game away with a goal, and they missed on both opportunities. We know the power play is unlikely to be a strength for the Kings going forward, but a well-timed power play goal could be the difference in a game and even in a playoff series. So would have loved to have seen the Kings, even if they went 1-for-4, to get that one goal in the third period on the power play to put the game away. Would have felt a lot better, but unfortunately that was the case. That was not the case. What was good for the Kings from a team standpoint? Well, they played a very clean defensive game. Edmonton didn't have many high-quality scoring chances. They didn't have much time and space to operate in the Kings zone. The Kings had that smothering defense, and when Edmonton did get their chances, they had the goaltender back there to make sure he was the final level of defense. The Kings did have some pretty good scoring chances. Even on the power play didn't look bad, but unable to put it home in this one. As far as our coach's quote from Jim Hiller on trying to earn home ice advantage in the first round of the playoffs, he said, quote, "We'd certainly like to earn it. For some reason this year in particular, we've played extremely well here at home, so you'd like to have that advantage. There's lots of hockey left to play. You can't look past anyone. Everybody in the league is you've seen us play enough times. We've probably had 5 or 6 wins that haven't necessarily come down right to the wire in the end, and it doesn't matter who we play. So we've got to make sure we just take care of business one game at a time and see where it lands," end quote. Our stat of the night revolves around Kings goaltender Darcy Kuemper and his amazing season, and even getting better late in the year. Darcy Kuemper has now allowed 2 or fewer goals in 13 straight starts. Obviously, no goals allowed in this one for the shutout. He's just the 5th goalie since the NHL expansion era to accomplish that feat. Again, Darcy Kuemper, 13 straight starts. He has allowed 2 or fewer goals and gets the shutout against the Oilers. So my big takeaway from this game, look, I was hoping the Kings were going to stomp a hole in the shorthanded Edmonton Oilers. I was hoping to see that, but I expected to see a win, and they got a win, a fairly convincing win. It never really felt like, especially late in the game, the Oilers were going to be able to do anything to really put a push on and get a win. But talked about it in our Kings-Oilers preview. The Kings had to win this game. They had to beat the Oilers without McDavid and Draisaitl. They could not afford to let this opportunity slip by and go up 4 points on Edmonton, which could be the difference in getting home ice in the first round of the playoffs, which seems like it's going to be a huge deal because of the Kings' home record has been so good this year. So still work to be done. It's not over yet, but for this game, it was important, obviously, to get the job done by any means necessary. Was it as dominant or as pronounced as I was hoping it would be? It was not, but it was still a pretty convincing win by the LA Kings. So mission accomplished. Needed to get a victory. They got the victory. All right, up next, we're going to get you updated on some individual performances in this win over Edmonton. That is next here on Locked On LA Kings, your team every day. Daylight savings snuck up on us again, and if you're feeling that lost hour of sleep, 5-Hour Energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a little boost to power through. Whether you're staying up late to watch the NCAA tournament, squeezing in a round of golf at work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5-Hour Energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. Whether I'm at a game or traveling, 5-Hour Energy is easy to grab, and it keeps me feeling refreshed. Head to 5hourenergy.com and find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, and peach mango. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack and have it delivered right to your door. Need one now? Well, grab a 5-Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. It's everywhere. Stock up today and stay energized. Let's talk about some of the individual performances in the win over Edmonton. But I think overall, this was a good team win for the LA Kings, but there were a couple of standouts. And of course, it starts in net with goaltender Darcy Kuemper turning aside all 27 shots he faced for his 5th shutout of the season, tied for the most by a Kings goalie since Jonathan Quick in the 2017-18 season. Darcy, and to the Kings' credit, never really was under siege in this one. Had a few solid saves, but I think he probably saw more dangerous chances against Utah in the previous game, to be honest. But what he's done so many times this season, he did it in this game, providing a calm influence in net and making it look relatively easy. He just injects so much confidence in the team by the way he plays in net. And they know that they don't have to play mistake-free hockey. They can be maybe a little more aggressive. And if they make a mistake or if their player that they're guarding gets by them, Darcy's going to have their back. And that allows you to play a more aggressive style. You don't have to be perfect every time, knowing you believe in the goaltender behind you. And we mentioned the stat. I'll repeat it because it's worth repeating. Kuemper has now allowed 2 or fewer goals in 13 straight starts, as he is looking great as we go down the stretch into the playoffs. He's also allowed 2 or fewer goals in 31 of his 46 starts this season. On the year, Kuemper now 29, 10, and 7 as he continues to make a case for him being a Vezina Trophy finalist this season. Kevin Fiala scored the Kings' first goal, went to the net and found the puck in the crease and put in a rebound after an Alex Laferriere shot. And very nice to see obviously one of the more skilled players for the LA Kings going to the net and looking for a blue-collar type of a goal. Kevin has really gotten better and better as the season has gone along. He has hit the 30-goal mark now. That was his 30th goal of the season. 52 points, so his assists are down pretty dramatically, but the Kings need goal scoring. He has provided the goal scoring. 3rd time in his career, he has scored 30 in a season. 1st time he's done it in his 3 years in LA. His career high is 33, so he's got an outside chance at maybe matching it, maybe passing it. He had 29 last year, which is previous career high as a King. So he has now eclipsed that. More goals this season for Kevin Fiala than he's ever scored as an LA King. He also has got 14 goals and 23 points in his last 27 games. Andrei Kuzmenko continues to be so fun and such a great add to this team. He gets the 2nd goal of the game, just a wicked wrist shot. He has a heavy wrist shot. He can really sling that puck when he's got a little time. This one was straight away, and he just blew it by the goaltender. I mentioned it the other day when he scored on a similar goal. I hope he continues to look for his shot because he's got a good shot. And he's just, again, so fun to watch when he gets the puck on his stick. He's such a spark plug. And again, what an amazing addition he has been to the Kings. He now has 11 points in his last 9 games, 5 goals and 6 assists since joining the LA Kings. Overall in the season, Kuzmenko, 11 goals and 31 points. Jeff Malott, if you didn't see it, he scored a beautiful goal. Samuel Hellenius on the forecheck creates a turnover. Malott goes into the corner, gets the puck, takes it to the net, makes a move around a sprawling defender on the ice. And then as he's going down to the ice, he slings a shot through the Oilers netminder for his first career NHL goal. One problem: Samuel Hellenius was offsides. Edmonton challenged. They took the goal off the board. And I will make this brief. And I'm not only saying this because it took away a great moment for Jeff Malott. I hate the offsides challenges. I do not understand why the NHL wants to eliminate offense and take an amazing goal, an amazing moment away from Jeff Malott because some player was a fraction of a second into the zone too soon. I think it's so stupid. We all love goals, right? I mean, I just can't imagine people are really passionate about somebody being in the zone a millimeter ahead of the puck. And if you can't catch it in real time, is there really an advantage gained? It's just stupid. I hate it so much. And I implore the hockey gods, please let Jeff Malott get a goal this season. Don't let that be, even though that goal was, even though it wasn't allowed, it was greater than a lot of players' first goals, but he deserves a goal. Please don't let that be his one opportunity that gets taken away because of a stupid rule. Trevor Lewis added the final goal, empty netter, unassisted, his 6th of the year, 103rd career goal for Trevor Lewis. And despite his detractors, he's done a pretty good job playing back on that fourth line with the injuries to Turcotte and Jeannot. Adrian Kempe assisted on the Kuzmenko goal, his 200th career assist, leads the team with 64 points on the season. I did want to mention Jordan Spence, back in the lineup after being benched or scratched in the previous game, had an assist, his 22nd of the year. He's one behind Vladislav Gavrikov for the team lead in assists by a defenseman. Played 14 minutes and 4 seconds in this one. I still don't know why he was benched in that game against Utah, and then Jim Hiller not commenting on it afterwards offered no clarity. Now, if he just wanted to get Jacob Movarar in the lineup, that's fine, but why not just say it? Just say, well, I wanted to give Jacob some time in the lineup, but he didn't. So I still don't know why Jordan Spence didn't play in the previous game, but back in this game and played a fine game. Checking the team leaders in the game against the Oilers. We talked about Kevin Fiala, Andre Kuzmenko, Trevor Lewis get the goals. Alex Laferriere, Kempe, Spence, Drew Doughty with assists. Fiala, Quentin Byfield, and Laferriere led the Kings each with 4 shots on goal. Byfield led the team in hits with 5. Joel Edmondson led the Kings with 2 block shots. Drew Doughty led the Kings in time on ice with 21 minutes and 45 seconds. And Andrei Kopitar led the Kings in the faceoff circle. He won 15 of the 20 draws that he took. And if you're curious about former King forward Victor Arvidsson now playing for the Oilers, obviously he didn't have a point in this one because the Oilers did not score a goal on the season. 13 goals, 25 points in 61 games for Victor Arvidsson. Again, I liked Arvidsson when he was here. The injury issues, I think, were why the Kings felt that they didn't want to invest in him. And he's been banged up a little bit. Missed some time with the Oilers this year. He's been okay for him, but if you're looking kind of head-to-head, Warren Fogle leaves Edmonton, comes to L.A. Victor Arvidsson leaves L.A., goes to Edmonton. The Kings have, I think, gotten the better of that deal with Warren Fogle. All right, coming up next, we're going to hand out our 3 stars of the night. We'll check the latest Pacific Division standings and the Kings, where they are in the playoff picture and what it's looking like right now. That's next here on Locked On LA Kings, your team every day. The NCAA tournament is here. The final is now set, and FanDuel is giving you a chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to spend on who will be cutting down the nets. It is a battle of 1 seeds, Florida versus Houston, as Duke and my Auburn Tigers, who I picked to win it all for some reason, were eliminated on Saturday night. So again, Florida versus Houston for the men's college basketball national championship. And with the championship game set for Monday, will it be the Gators? Will it be the Cougars? Well, if you would like to place a wager on that, you got to go to FanDuel and check out the app. If you maybe don't like college basketball, there's other things you could bet on. Again, go to FanDuel app. It's simple to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. There is no waiting around. FanDuel.com to get in on the College Hoops National Championship game coming up on Monday. Hey, real quick before we get to our 3 stars, I did want to give a shout out to Kurt and Jake. I believe they're from Yorba Linda. Met up with them at the game. Really, really nice father and son that were there checking out the Kings game. They got tickets from Jesse Cohen, which was very cool, friend of the show. And it was great to meet up with them. Thank you guys for supporting the show. Also did see Ed in Brea afterwards outside crypto.com arena. We had a nice chat. And I told Ed, keep guaranteeing the Kings are going to lose. And he said he would. Our 3 stars of the game in this one, pretty straightforward. The 2 goal scorers and the man in net. Kevin Fiala, who had the Kings' first goal, is our number 3 star. Andre Kuzmenko continuing to play well as an LA King. is the number 2 star, but the number 1 star for a second straight game with the shutout, Kings goaltender Darcy Kuemper. All right, let's get into the Pacific Division standings. And if you're watching on YouTube, put the little X next to the LA Kings name, as the Kings have clinched a playoff spot, because just moments ago, and I waited to record the show so we would know if the Kings were in the playoffs or not, the Vegas Golden Knights did beat the Calgary Flames 3-2 in overtime, and that loss by Calgary clinched a playoff spot for the Kings 4 years in a row. The Kings will now play in the postseason. The bad news is that it was kind of, the Kings were going to clinch a playoff spot anyway. I will admit I was kind of rooting for Calgary to win so the Kings could stay 1 point back of Vegas for the division lead. As it stands right now, of course, Vegas already has clinched a playoff spot. They've played 76 games. So have the Kings. So have the Oilers. The Golden Knights have a record of 46, 22, and 8 after that win over Calgary. They have 100 points now on the season. The Kings are in the playoffs. They've played 76 games, record of 44, 23, and 9, 97 points to the Kings. As we have 6 games to go for all 3 teams, the Kings are 3 points back of the Vegas Golden Knights for the division lead. And then the Edmonton Oilers, they have yet to clinch a playoff spot, but they will. They've also played 76 games, record of 44, 27, and 5. So the Kings and Oilers have the same number of wins on the season. The Kings have 4 fewer regulation losses. 97 points for the Kings, 93 points for the Oilers. So 4 more points, a 4-point lead as it stands right now for the LA Kings over the Edmonton Oilers in the race for home ice advantage. But the Kings are still in it for the division lead, the division title. As for the week that is coming up for all 3 teams, Vegas will play Sunday in Vancouver. Tuesday, they're in Colorado. That's a tough game. And then Thursday at home against Seattle. And then Saturday, they're at home against Nashville. So 4 games this week for Vegas. For the Kings, they've got a home game on Monday against Seattle, Thursday at home against the Ducks, and then Saturday at home against Colorado. For the Oilers, they have a game in Anaheim on Monday, back home against the red-hot St. Louis Blues on Wednesday, and then Friday, they will host the San Jose Sharks. Of course, there is still one more head-to-head matchup between the Kings and Oilers, April 14th in Edmonton. Reports are that Connor McDavid will be back for that game. Doesn't look like Leon Draisaitl will be. We'll see about that, but the reports are McDavid will be back for that game. He did skate in Los Angeles before the game against the Kings, so he's ramping it up and is ready to go. There is this, though. The LA Kings hold the tiebreaker. So even though the Kings have a 4-point lead, it's really a 5-point lead because Edmonton will have to be ahead of the Kings as far as points. They can't be tied because the Kings have the tiebreaker, which is regulation wins. LA has 39. Edmonton has 32. They're not going to catch the Kings as far as that goes. So the Kings 4-point lead on Edmonton and hold the tiebreaker. I did want to get a coach's quote from Jim Hiller. He was asked after the win over Edmonton about the Kings making the playoffs if Calgary were to lose to Vegas, which happened. He said, quote, "I haven't thought a lot about it. I would say, I think for every organization in the league, I'll say organization top to bottom, that includes the fans, to make the playoffs is an outstanding achievement for everybody involved. It really is. You can say, well, some teams have made it X amount of times. Well, good for them. They've done a nice job with their organizations and with their fans to get into the playoffs year after year. It is not easy to do. So I can tell you from an organizational standpoint, we'll be very proud if we make the playoffs," end quote. Well, be proud, Jim Hiller. In your first full season as an NHL head coach, you have guided your team into the playoffs, and who knows, maybe there's a division title to be had. I don't know. I've thought about this. I had a discussion with Ed and Brea after the game as far as who would you prefer the Kings play in the first round of the playoffs. Now, if the Kings were to win the division, it looks like they would play the St. Louis Blues, the number 1 wildcard team, in the first round. If you don't know, the Blues are the hottest team in the NHL right now. They won again tonight. I think it's 12 wins in a row now for St. Louis. They have been absolutely on fire, and we saw them in LA not that long ago when the Kings played them 3 times in 8 days in that weird quirk of the schedule. I thought that's a really good team, and they have been on fire ever since. Yeah, 12 wins in a row now for the St. Louis Blues. So the Kings win the division, their reward would be the hottest team in the NHL. Then again, there are many who do not want to see the Kings have to face the Oilers again with potentially Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, even though I think the Kings would be a slight favorite in that series. And I think the Kings are the better team this year. They would have home ice, but then again, it's always about, getting that monkey off your back, having lost 3 straight years to the Oilers. So for me personally, even though they're the hottest team in the league, if you're going to give me my choice, I would rather win the division, take on the St. Louis Blues, because if the Kings win the division, they would have 2 rounds of playoffs with home ice advantage. And home ice advantage is that important, in my opinion, for the LA Kings. So while, it would be great to slay the dragon, it would be great to beat the Oilers. And I will say, I do think it will be Edmonton and LA again for a 4th straight year. I don't think the Kings are going to catch the Vegas Golden Knights. It is possible. Of course, they don't play head-to-head. LA, Vegas do not play head-to-head the rest of the way. If I had my choice, because of the possibility, if you win the division, you get home ice in 2 rounds, and home ice is so important for the Kings, I would rather the Kings win the division if it comes down to that. Before we wrap it up, another reminder, starting this Sunday night, I will be co-hosting a new show on the Locked On Sports Network. It is called NHL Gametime, Locked On NHL Gametime. My co-host Shukri Wrights and I are going to be breaking down the night in the NHL right after the final game ends. And I'm really excited about it. Would very much appreciate your support. It's going to be on YouTube. It will be wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever. But again, it's Locked On NHL Game Night starting this Sunday night after the final game ends, a recap of the night in the NHL. All right, for you everydayers, those of you that listen and watch Locked On Kings every day, coming up on Monday, we talked about it. The Kings are hosting the Seattle Kraken. We will be recording a show at the conclusion of that game and recapping it shortly after it goes final. That's coming up for you on our late Monday night show for you. If you want to send an email to the show for our Friday fan feedback or anything else that you want to communicate, lockedoneddie@gmail.com is the email address. If you're watching on YouTube, want to put your comments in the comment section, we appreciate that. Stay connected with the show through social media, X, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We are at Locked On LA Kings. I'm Eddie Garcia. Thank you for listening and watching this episode of Locked On LA Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Have a great rest of your weekend. The Kings are in the playoffs. And as always, go Kings go.